Hi everyone and welcome to my channel. For those new here, my name's Nicki. I'm an author and editor and I post videos here on YouTube about writing, editing, reading and all the things I love. Today we're here to do a top 10 vlog and I'm going to talk about my top 10 underrated musicals. For the purposes of this video I'm just sticking with English language musicals because there are so many foreign language ones I think are underrated, but we'll just stick with the English ones for today. So in spot number 10 is Jane Eyre by Gordon and Caird. And this is an interesting show. It has its downsides, one of them being that whoever they cast as Jane in America seems to put on a really awful English accent. But it does have some really good points too. There's some lovely music in it. Farewell My Angel, that's sung by Rochester when Jane leaves him, is a brilliant song. I love the gypsy moment as well. And I think it just deserves a little bit more love than it gets. Number 9 is Lady in the Dark. This is by Kurt Weill with some lyrics by Eyre Gershwin as well. And it's a fascinating story that sort of delves into fantasy a bit at times. It's got some really brilliant, memorable music. The Saga of Jenny, My Ship are the ones that people tend to know. But there's some other brilliant, brilliant songs in there, particularly in the circus theme part I love. And it's another show that just doesn't get enough revivals, I don't think, you know, it just doesn't get much love. The next one is an interesting choice. It is Bill and Ted's Excellent Musical Adventure by Dean Collinson. Now this is a show that, to my knowledge, hasn't had a proper full production. If anyone knows differently, correct me if I'm wrong. I have the concept CD, and Dean Collinson, who wrote it, also plays one of the roles in the show as well. And it's brilliant. Of course, it's based on Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure film. There's some really catchy little tunes and it's just such great fun, and I'd love to see it get a stage production. In number 7, Merrily We Roll Along by Stephen Sondheim. Now Sondheim you might think is odd being on this list, you know, fairly well-known musical theatre composer, but people tend to have like a few of his shows that they know really well, and some of his other ones get kind of left behind, and Merrily is one of those. It's a fascinating piece in that it runs backwards. So we start the story in the present day and then we run backwards in time to discover how we got to that point. And about 3 friends, and it looks at their friendship. They're involved in creative, there's a composer and a lyricist team and their female friend who kind of completes the trio, sorry. And it's so witty, it's so clever. Sometimes always accused of not being very lyrical, you know, and in this show he actually makes fun of that, with the producers telling this this composer and songwriter that they need to create a song that people can hum, just making fun of things he's been told in the past. So it really does deserve a bit more love. It's so clever and such great fun. Franklin Shepherd Inc. is my favourite song. If you only listen to one song from the show, do Google Franklin Shepherd Inc. Number 6, Kiss of the Spider Woman by Kander and Ebb. Now when you think Kander and Ebb, people tend to go Chicago, Cabaret, but Kiss of the Spider Woman is a real undiscovered gem by them. It has some fantastic songs. It's based on a novel that was then turned into a play. It's been a film and then the musical. And it's just one of those shows, it sounds really weird. If I told you the plot, you'd look at me like I was completely mental. It's one of those. But everything comes together so brilliantly in the show. And again, it's just not put on as much as it deserves, I don't think. Number 5, Rage of the Heart, and this is another one. I'm not sure if it ever had a staged version or if it was only ever a concept album. I think Cullen, I know, did the orchestration and the arrangement. I'm not sure if he actually wrote the pieces or not. If you know anything about that, write it below. But on the concept album, Michael Ball plays Abelard, because this is the story of Abelard and Eloise and their forbidden love in medieval France. And it's got some absolutely beautiful lyrical songs in it. And it's just one of those shows, every now and again I like to put on the CD and have a good listen and sing along, and it's just a shame that it's not better known, I think. Number 4 is Napoleon by Sabiston and Williams. And this is a fantastic musical. I saw this show about 3 or 4 times in London during its very short run. And as the title would suggest, it is based on the life of Napoleon. And again, it's just got some really brilliantly lyrical pieces, some sweeping orchestrations, some lovely melodies, memorable songs, and it comes together so well. And yet it had that little one run, and it had a previous run I think in Canada, and that's been about it, so it's a shame because it deserves more. An equally deserving show is number 3, Cava by O'Keeffe and Keeling. Again, this was on in London, but for such a limited run. I think I only got to this one once, and it's perhaps not a really obvious choice, but the music was nice. Nice feels like a sort of wrong word. I guess what I'm saying is some of these shows I've picked are real traditional musicals with a big sweeping, fully orchestrated score, a la Les Miserables, for example, let's say. And those shows just don't seem to get much recognition these days. It's all about the pop songs and, you know, the greatest hits of Queen done as a musical, We Will Rock You, and Mamma Mia doing ABBA. The days of the beautifully original musical seem to be fading, and every now and again a great one pops up, and it's such a blessing. And this is one that I think, you know, it got a lot of stick and it didn't survive, and I think that's a real shame, because if it could have found a bigger audience, I think it could have done well. Number 2, we're going back to Sondheim again, another of his works that perhaps doesn't get quite as much love as it deserves, and that's Assassins. I adore Assassins, it's so clever. As we meet each of the people who have assassinated or tried to assassinate an American president, they each have a song that is based on music from their time period. It's such a clever concept, so brilliantly put together, memorable music, great fun, and just such a zany idea, a musical about people that tried to assassinate presidents, and yet it works so wonderfully. And finally, in the top spot, this will be no surprise to anyone who's heard me talking in the last couple of years, it's The Grinning Man, and there's so many people involved in production of this, I'll have to read them out. So Gross, Morris, Phillips and Teitler, or Teitler, depending on whether we're pronouncing it German or not. This is such a fantastic show. I saw it when I was in London back in early 2018, and I really wish I could have gone a second time because I loved it so much. This is one of those rare occasions I just mentioned where an original musical does come along that's not just ripping off pop songs. And it's so beautiful. It was really dark and discordant, which matched the storyline. But beautiful, beautiful music, wonderful performances, a brilliant concept. And all in all, just a fantastic show that it had a nice little run in the West End. Better than some, it got an extension, but I think it's a show that more people deserve to see because it really was absolutely brilliant. So those are my top 10 underrated musicals. What are yours? Pop them in the comments below and I look forward to seeing your choices. I'll end there, but I'll be back again soon with another vlog for you. Bye for now, everyone.